Since 2017, I have been interviewing my clients after I work with them. Instead of emailing and asking for review, we just hop into a conversation together. I have never done one of these calls live on a podcast, but I have done more than 100 client interviews, just like the one you're about to hear. Lauren went from knowing that she did a couple of things for nonprofits to packaging it as the brand level up and seeing more than four clients sign up on the spot without proposals and without stress over the past year. I can't wait to share with you how that worked by showing you how I interview clients at the end of every project. Let's do this. Welcome to the Establish Yourself podcast. I'm Annie Franceschi, and I'm here to help you get clear on how you talk about what you do and what you offer so you can have more fun in your business and beyond. We have got a really exciting, fresh episode for you today. You get to be a fly on the wall as I interview Lauren Atherton of Heart Spark Design. Lauren had a fantastic experience doing my Package Your Process Accelerator. That is my 5-week program to help you get clear on how you talk about what you do and offer. Now, we're going to shake up some of the questions I typically ask, but this is a really good example of what I'll talk more about at my pop up workshop, Get Better Testimonials, happening on September 25th. Learn more about it in the show notes. But without further ado, let's jump right in and learn from Lauren what it is meant to move from just offering services to offering a package that makes her feel confident, that makes it easy to say yes to, and makes it simpler to really own her value. I would love for you to share how you were feeling right before you came and did Package Your Process Accelerator.
We're a branding studio for nonprofits. We do logo design, marketing templates, graphic design, and website design. So last year, I decided I really want to invest in having services, like having a package, which is funny. I found Package Your Process and I was like, how perfect is that named? And last year, I was doing a lot of custom proposals, RFPs, and I was just like, if I have to spend another Friday afternoon working on a proposal, and like my favorite projects that I would work on with clients were small nonprofits. I knew 1, 2, 3, these are the steps that we do. So I was like, okay, I think there's probably a way to make this easier on myself. There's got to be a better way to do this. And I was just kind of stuck. And that's when my friend Veronica was like, you should check out Annie Franceschi's work. And so I looked on your website and I was like totally fangirling. Just, oh my gosh, I saw you were offering Package Your Process coming up. I was, okay, I gotta join this thing.
And what was it about me or about Package Your Process that felt like this was the right move at the right time for you?
Being by myself, running a business on my own, and then feeling, okay, I know I have something here, but like, how do I translate that into something that a client wants? And I could see you were doing that perfectly on your website. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. And there was like clear, this is what we're going to do week 1, week 2, week 3. And so I was just like, okay, if I'm going to do this, then there's a plan. There's a clear plan for me to do. She's done this before, and obviously she can do this very well. And so that sold me. I was like, okay, cool. I'm signed up.
I love that. And, we went through this experience where we do this 5-week program and you go through 4 modules. And the first one's about positioning yourself as an expert. The second one is about making your service very visual. The third one is all about how do you leverage that tool and use it in your networking and your speaking. And the fourth one is all about selling it without sleaze and marketing it with authenticity, sort of all my workflows on how to do that. So anyone going to this program, literally week 1 can show up and not be clear on how to talk about what they do and not have a package service. And by week 5, they're at the referral party with their pitch and their one pager, and they can confidently walk through a branded service. And everyone gets to leave that experience with a lead, a connection, a referral, an opportunity. So for you and where you were, having gone through that process where you would go through the modules and come ask me questions every week and get hot seats and feedback, what were the most valuable parts of that process for you?
I have to say the pitch party, the referral party was so cool. And I got to invite friends and like, even they were like, this is so freaking smart. And I was like, it is so freaking smart. I was like, Annie is so freaking smart. So what really stood out, one was like the brand chips. I was like, okay, this is a great way to structure this offer and only talk about this offer, not all the other things that I could do. And your live feedback was so helpful, just working through it together and then also hearing other people get feedback and how are they talking about it and what words are they using and like creating that one pager as well. I mean, that was like mind blowing to me how simple that was, but how effective it's been since the program.
Yeah, so in Package Your Process, I teach this framework that I've used for the better part of a decade where I put my offer on one page, on one PDF. I call it an offer one pager. And that has allowed me to sell more than $600,000 in services without sales pages. I remember you came in and you, as a designer, were nailing the design and were struggling with what to name it. Your business is called Heart Spark Design, and you had a name that was the brand Glow Up.
Yep. Yeah, glow up actually was something that a couple clients have said to me is, "Oh, I'm ready for my glow up," or "Thanks for my glow up." And so I was like, "Oh, that's perfect." But it was taken, and so we had to rethink that, but also it was kind of cool to come back and be like, "Okay, I think I've got another option, the level up." Like, what about like everyone wants to level up and you're leveling up your brand. So that stuck and that's what I ended up launching.
Right, and so you had this good name, and hey, let's double check that that's not trademarked. And sure enough, there was conflicts of interest.
The human filter too, right? Of like, if we've got 8 people around that are like, that's not super clear to me," that's way more helpful than ChatGPT just agreeing or like pumping out more ideas. And so I feel like that was a really helpful process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in this circumstance, we are coming out of you having done package your process and coming into the table where you knew what you were doing, but it didn't quite have a name. It didn't have that one pager. You come out of the experience in the referral party and you have the brand level up. Catch us up on what has happened. We're coming up on a year since we had this time together, and I'd love to hear, what did this change for you and what's changing in your business?
Well, I've emailed you throughout the year like, "Andy, it worked! Oh my word, it worked." In November, I soft launched my new service, the brand Level Up. Then in January, I had an event that I spoke at about two nonprofits, and I was like, I'm going to talk about logo design because that's step one of this service. And got 10 leads out of that event. 2 weeks later, I had a meeting with a client. I was like, okay, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to talk about the service if it's a good fit for them. And it was. Literally on the call, the client's like, this sounds great. This is within our budget. Perfect. I'm going to show my executive director tomorrow. And then we had a contract signed by the end of the week. And that's happened 4 more times this year. So it has just been incredible to see going from being stressed about proposals and do I really need to do RFPs and like, ugh, this is a part of business I don't like, to now having a one pager that like can sell the service for me. And it's resulted in $30,000 in business just from that one service. And so that's where I've just seen this transformation that I'm like, well, if it's easier on me, it's easier on my clients, and it's easier all around to make a decision and move forward and not have to have a proposal and then wait for the answer and back and forth and back and forth. So it's just, yeah, it's been fantastic. So thank you.
You're so welcome.
Just have to say thank you because it's just like, it's working. I'm like, it's working.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You having gone through package your process as a participant, you get to experience it from a vantage point I will never be a part of. Like, I will never be a student of my own program. Having gone through that experience, do you feel like there's anything that I or the program could have done better to give you a better experience or better results?
I feel like you had it really mapped out and paced out really well. I will say at the end when you're starting to put the pieces together and okay, time to launch. And that's scary. So I really appreciated that referral party because it was okay, this is just a way to start talking about it, get it out there, and just practice. So that was super helpful. But I will say I forgot. You gave me a whole library of templates, and now I need to go back and revisit them to relaunch. But you have it all there. It's just a matter of when everything is coming together, then it's okay. This is a lot to remember.
Yes, I hear that. And thank you for taking me up on that question. And those of you who are listening in today, that is the most vulnerable question, right? That we don't want to ask, but it's actually one of the most valuable. And so, Lauren, thank you. I didn't know what you were going to say. And I appreciate that there was so much positive wrapped in that. But obviously, anything can come out of that question. But one of the ideas you just gave me is building in sort of an accountability session that if you pitched at the party, if you got all the way to the end, that you earn a ticket to like an accountability session maybe a month later, where I specifically point out here are the templates, let's prioritize some, because implementation is hard. And that's exactly why in Package Your Process, I added the referral party at the end. I've been in enough courses, I know you have, where it's like you learn all this stuff, but there's no opportunity to practice it. And so that's the most fun of it, right? Is not just that you have this accountability to present, but then you also have this really wonderful community moment where everyone's cheering you on and thinking who in their network they can connect you to. So I love that. And then, your answer gave me some thoughts as to how can I continue to add more of that implementation step that everybody struggles with. You're not the first person to tell me that. You won't be the last person to tell me that, but it does spark ideas. So thank you for being transparent and sharing that with me. You've now gone through Package Your Process Accelerator. You experience it in your own words, in your own way. If somebody walked up to you tomorrow and was like, hey, what's this thing? What's that? How do you describe it?
What I explain to people is I had all of these services and clients who would come to me saying, I need a website, I need a logo. And now instead of saying yes and custom proposaling it, I now have a formal process. This is what I do and why I do it. So I recommend you all the time to other consultants because I loved this program so much and I think you are just brilliant. And I'm not just saying that, like I really appreciate how much you push back and also are fully honest and transparent about why something's working and not working and like how to think about something differently. And so I know this has been a weird year for consultants and I'm not discounting that at all, but it's been one of my best years because I've really distilled down what I do into a process. You made it so easy to just go, what service do you want to do? Just take one slice of your business and really simplify it and make it easy for someone to follow and then be able to explain to somebody else. For me, it's been a game changer just to take what I already was doing, but put it in a format that people could understand and be able to then explain to their people, because that's how nonprofits work. There's a lot of other people to talk to. Anytime I'm talking with someone, I'm like, do you know how to clearly talk about what you do? Do you have set services or processes? If you don't, this might help, like move the needle and get some more sales because it's easy on both ends.
Lauren, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Your business is really similar to mine, right? And you came to me and you recognized that I was selling done for you branding. You do done for you branding for nonprofits. So, from your experience, how universal do you think Package Your Process is or isn't to a business that isn't as close to mine and what I do?
This would be applicable for even small teams. I think going through this would be really helpful. Or if somebody else is also an entrepreneur, like I said, I talked to a lot of other nonprofit consultants and other consultants who are running the show by themselves. And even though we both do branding, like it's so, I think you've said this before, like it's so hard to read the label from inside the bottle. And we all have services that we're offering and things that we do. And if you're not able to talk about that clearly or clearly go, the steps are one, two, three, that's the basics, right? Like as you're communicating with other people, you got to be able to answer that question. And so I feel like it would be helpful for anyone to go through this and just really nail down what are the main benefits to someone.
Thank you so much. Every time I ask that question, it's so empowering and helpful because the best words are the words you naturally pick, not the words I'm going to tell you to use. So I will be, after this episode is out in the world, I will be going through this the next time I talk about Package Your Process with the Expert, which is my one-to-one version of this, my private version of it, and the 5-week version as well, because I think there's so much of what you shared that's organic to your experience. I would never know to use some of these words that you just used with me, but I better believe I'm going to go back through this transcript and learn from that, because if you want to get more amazing clients, like I would certainly count you as an amazing client who I've loved working with and I love seeing thrive under these processes. If you want more Laurens in your world, you got to study Lauren. You got to get to know them. You got to have these conversations. So thank you for being willing to share all of that with us. The last question I typically ask is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with me?
We covered a lot of it. I will say, anytime we talk or I hear your podcast, it just reminds me I need to do business my way, not be chasing all the other shiny objects out there. Some of the phrases that you use always stuck with me, like sell without sleaze. I always loved that because, yeah, anytime I tried to launch something or do something, I just feel sleazy. Like I want to be encouraging and get something people are excited about or phrases they're already using. And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to unlock that by myself. So thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate this process and this system that you've created.
Gosh, it's been a dream, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I want to thank everybody for listening in on this episode. And if you're curious about how to run calls like this with your private clients, I'm giving away the script that I use for that, the entire workflow, the AI prompt, all of that in a brand new pop-up workshop called Get Better Testimonials. You can check it out at greateststorycreative.com/pop-up. I'll be sure to put the link here in the show notes. If you're curious about how this process works, that is the place to be. And if you love what Lauren had to share and you're curious for help to package your process, I do currently offer that as a one-to-one VIP experience called Package Your Process with the Expert. This is where you and I partner to do exactly the training Lauren went through, but we take it to the next level because I'll actually do it for you and with you privately. So you can come out of it just as clear as Lauren with her positioning, her elevator pitch, her one pager. That can be you, and I can help you through it. If you're curious about it, set a free consultation with me at greateststorycreative.com/consult. I'll put a link here in the show notes and I'd be happy to talk with you. Now, this is a kind of different episode for me. We don't have our normal intros and outros. And Lauren, I would like to invite you to do the moment of magic. Comes at the very end of every Establish Yourself episode, and it is just a moment of fun.
Well, I'll share my favorite Muppet, Sam the Eagle, in Christmas Carol, where they say, "It's the American way," and then they whisper in his ear, and he's like, "It's the British way."
They just closed Muppet Vision 3D. They ask Sam, "How's the finale coming?" And he's like, "It's called A Salute to All Nations, but mostly America."